For the better part of a century, when we hear the word cancer, we conjure images of a brutal, total war.
Absolutely. The goal has always been, find the enemy, destroy the enemy.
Usually with treatments so toxic, radiation, chemotherapy, that they often leave the patient feeling as devastated as the disease itself. It's a very outside-in approach. It's focused on poison.
And that approach, despite all the incredible progress in some areas, has really hit a wall. Today, we are diving into a truly revolutionary idea, one that challenges the core assumption of cancer treatment.
What if the solution isn't a better poison?
What if it's a more powerful internal defense?
That is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We're unpacking a radical and honestly an increasingly accepted thesis that cancer isn't just the tumor you see on the scan.
No, it's fundamentally a catastrophic failure of your internal security system.
Our immune system.
The very system that allowed that tumor to grow in the first place.
So we're essentially taking a stack of sources that connect the visionary work of Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, the billionaire surgeon and scientist, with the practical, actionable blueprints of 4 world-leading longevity.
I did not invent this. God invented this. I realized that we have in our body a cell that God created, and it is 450 million years old, called the natural killer cell. And that cell was only discovered in the 1970s, and I wrote my first paper in the 1990s. And what this is the enlightenment of how do we activate the cell that God created in us, and why does the cell exist? And this cell exists because it is here to prevent us from having cancer. This cell exists is to prevent us from dying from an infection, from sepsis, from COVID, from bacteria, from fungus. What's happened now is an enlightenment after 30 years of work of how to activate that cell with a single jab.
If the fight is no longer about brute chemical destruction, it's about restoring the body's innate power.
So you are going to walk away understanding how drugs are evolving and, maybe more importantly, the precise steps you can take today to make sure your own T-cells and natural killer cells are the strongest army they can possibly be.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's unpack this shift in diagnosis first. Dr. Soon-Shiong, after treating thousands of patients and inventing drugs like Eradicate, he reached this stunning conclusion.
And his words are so direct. He just says, cancer is not just a tumor. Cancer is the breakdown of your immune system.
Which, if you connect that to the bigger picture, it's a total paradigm flip.
It is. It means the tumors are just symptoms. They're the physical manifestation of a systemic failure. The result, not the cause.
That actually makes so much sense when you think about how our bodies work.
Mm-hmm.
We know that every single day, dozens, maybe even hundreds of our cells go rogue.
They mutate. They become precancerous.
And a healthy, functioning immune system should just destroy them.
Yeah.
Immediately.
It absolutely should. That is its primary job, day in and day out. The failure happens when the immune system becomes, blind. It can't recognize the cancerous cell as foreign.
Or just gets overwhelmed.
Right. Overwhelmed by chronic inflammation or maybe by age, or it's just too exhausted to mount a successful defense.
It's like having a high-tech security system where the cameras are covered in dust and the guards are all asleep.
That's a perfect analogy.
So the implication of this is just massive. If the root problem is a broken immune system, you can't fix it by focusing all your energy on destroying the symptom, right? The tumor.
Exactly. This forces the entire research focus to shift. We have to move from trying to brutally kill the symptom to retraining, reactivating, and restoring the immune system so it can do its job.
We're moving from destruction to restoration.
From war to intelligence.
And that brings us directly to the breakthrough. Dr. Soon-Shiong is leading a new immunotherapy drug called ANKTIVA.
And this is so dramatically different from conventional chemotherapy.
It's not about poisoning the cancer.
No, it's about reactivating the intelligence of the body. ANKTIVA is designed to be a reactivator and a trainer.
A trainer, I like that.
The sources describe it as an attempt to mobilize the full immune army, not just stimulating 1 or 2 types of cells. Think of it like a drill sergeant who gives the whole defense force better gear and a clearer map of the enemy.
Okay, so how does that training actually happen on a cellular level? What is the drug telling the body to do?
Well, it works in a few steps. First, it boosts overall immune intelligence. It wakes up these dormant T cells.
The specialized assassins?
The assassins, yes.
Mhm.
Then, and this is crucial, it helps the natural killer cells, the NK cells.
Those are the first responders, right?
Yeah. Exactly. They kill anything that looks suspicious without needing specific instructions. ANKTIVA helps them recognize the subtle cloaking mechanisms that cancer cells used to hide. It makes them visible again.
So it's not just a blind boost, it's a sophisticated detection and execution system being restored.
It is, and the clinical outcomes really support this difference.
What are they seeing?
They're seeing patients who were, completely out of options, and their tumors are shrinking or even disappearing. But the critical point is the side effect profile. They saw dramatically reduced fatigue, nausea, hair loss, bone pain, all the classic suffering we associate with chemo.
Okay, let's pause right there because that is the most important piece of evidence supporting this whole thesis. Why do those terrible side effects almost vanish?
Because you're empowering an inherent biological process. You're not forcing a toxic chemical reaction.
So chemotherapy kills any rapidly dividing cell.
Any of them. That's cancer, yes, but it's also your healthy hair follicles, your gut lining, and, most importantly, your immune cells and bone marrow.
So it's carpet bombing.
It is. But when you use a drug like ANKTIVA to empower the immune system, you're not introducing that generalized toxicity. The body is doing the work it was designed to do. Healthy cells stay healthy, and the immune system stays strong.
Which raises a huge question about the multi-billion-dollar status quo. This gets to the inherent flaw in traditional treatment. If we spend billions on these toxic chemicals, why does that approach ultimately fail so often long-term?
It comes down to the devastating recurrence problem. What's fascinating here is how short-sighted the goal is. Chemotherapy is incredibly effective at tumor destruction. It can achieve a temporary localized victory.
The temporary victory. But
if the chemo simultaneously wipes out the patient's own T cells and NK cells, the only real defense against systemic disease, you've treated the symptom, but you've disabled the cure.
So you might kill 99% of the cancer cells. But if the immune system is broken and depleted, that remaining 1% is going to come roaring back.
Precisely. Because there is no systemic defense left to stop it. The cancer will inevitably return, often more aggressively.
Because you've selected for the toughest cells.
You've selected for the supercancer cells, and you've eliminated the body's ability to fight back. So you have this contrast. Short-term tumor destruction versus long-term immune restoration.
It really underscores Dr. Soon-Shiong's blistering critique. We don't have a chemotherapy problem, we have an immune system problem.
The future is all about immune power.
And that concept, immune power, is the perfect bridge to the second part of our deep dive. Pharmaceutical breakthroughs like ANKTIVA are the advanced weapons, sure.
But they require a strong, healthy body to deploy them. A resilient immune system is our frontline defense against all major diseases, not just cancer.
The doctor provides the patch, but these longevity experts provide the foundational environment.
That's it.
So let's start building that blueprint with Dr. Rhonda Patrick. She is adamant that nutritional defense is the absolute foundation for strong immune function.
Dr. Patrick gives us a checklist of essential components, and she reminds us that chronic inflammation is the single greatest enemy of immune function.
Because when the system is constantly fighting these little internal fires, it just gets exhausted.
It gets exhausted, and it becomes blind to the real threats, like a rogue cell turning cancerous.
So what specific nutrients does she prioritize for fortifying those T cells?
She highlights 4 critical players. First, vitamin D. And you should think of vitamin D not as just a generic vitamin, but as the ignition key for T cells.
Ignition key.
Yeah, T cells often stay dormant until vitamin D activates them and sends them out on patrol. Second, omega-3 fatty acids, which directly fight inflammation, cooling down those internal fires.
Okay, what about zinc and sulforaphane? Those feel a little more technical.
Well, zinc is essential for the structure and function of T cells. It's critical for their formation in the thymus. Without enough zinc, the production line of new T cells just stalls.
And sulforaphane.
That's what you get from cruciferous vegetables like broccoli sprouts. It's essential for detox pathways. It helps the body clean out toxins and metabolic waste, which reduces the overall burden on the immune system, freeing it up to hunt threats.
I love that quote from the source. You're either feeding your immune system or feeding inflammation. It's so simple.
It's a clear, actionable choice.
Okay, now let's move on to Dr. David Sinclair, who links immune collapse directly to the process of biological aging.
Sinclair's research is all about cellular longevity. As we age, a process called immune senescence happens. Our T cells diminish, our NK cells become sluggish, and chronic inflammation rises.
We're literally losing our youthful defense capability.
That's right. So his solutions are designed to slow aging at the cellular level, which in turn preserves immune function.
So things like cold exposure, heat therapy, NAD plus boosting, how do those specifically help our T cells?
These behaviors, exercise, fasting, exposure to mild stress like cold, they activate longevity pathways in the body, primarily things called sirtuins.
And sirtuins repair DNA.
They help stabilize and repair DNA, which is absolutely vital for immune cells that divide so rapidly and need to be genetically perfect. When you boost NAD plus that, you're giving the fuel for these repair systems to work. You're reducing the cellular damage that causes immune exhaustion.
And he also recommends simple dietary changes like cutting sugar and eating polyphenols.
Exactly. Cutting sugar directly reduces inflammation. And polyphenols, which you find in berries, olives, green tea, they're powerful compounds that further activate those protective sirtuin pathways.
His core message is pretty clear.
Slow aging, and the immune system stays young. It's as simple as that.
Building on that theme of a cellular reset, we come to Dr. Walter Longo, the creator of the fasting mimicking diet. He found a remarkable way to literally regenerate the immune system.
This is maybe the most compelling evidence that we can actively reverse immune aging. Longo discovered that periodic fasting cycles, and this is not daily calorie restriction, but cycles of restricted intake, they cause old, damaged, weak immune cells to die off.
Wait, why is forcing those cells to die off a good thing?
Because it's like, it's programmed obsolescence. Think of it like hitting the reset button on a cluttered computer.
Okay.
When those weak cells are culled, it activates the body's stem cells. And these stem cells then produce a fresh, young batch of T cells and other immune components. It's genuine immune regeneration.
So Longo's work suggests this reset can amplify the very T cell responses that drugs like ANKTIVA are trying to restore.
That's the theory. Yes, it's the ultimate spring cleaning for the immune system.
Which brings us to our last expert, Dr. Jeffrey Bland, the father of functional medicine. He really connects all these pieces.
Bland emphasizes that the immune system doesn't operate in a silo, It's interconnected with everything else. It acts as a sensing system, and the quality of its signals depends entirely on the health of the host environment.
Which means if our gut is a mess, our sleep is disrupted, and we're constantly stressed.
Your immune system is going to be sending out confused signals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chronic stress releases cortisol, which suppresses effective immune action.
And lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep prevents T cells from properly memorizing and organizing their defense strategy. And maybe most importantly, the gut microbiome, which holds 70 to 80% of our immune cells, is responsible for regulating immune tolerance. An unhealthy gut means the immune system wastes resources fighting internal chaos.
So his recommendations are all about creating clear signals.
Yes. Prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of sleep, minimizing processed foods that inflame the gut, eating high-fiber vegetables to feed your good bacteria. These are non-negotiable foundations. Manage these, and the immune system knows exactly what to fight and what to leave alone.
So that brings us to the synthesis. We've got the high-tech pharmaceutical future from Dr. Soon-Shiong, and we have this foundational blueprint from the longevity experts. What does this look like as an actionable plan for you, the listener?
We can really synthesize all this groundbreaking advice into 5 key steps for building a resilient anti-cancer immune system.
Let's break those down. The first 2 seem to focus on diet and targeted supplementation.
1. Keep inflammation perpetually low. That means a diet rich in whole foods, dramatically less sugar, and consistent high-quality omega-3s. 2. Strengthen the actual immune cells with targeted nutrients.
That's the vitamin D, the zinc.
Yep, vitamin D for T-cell activation, zinc for T-cell maturation, and sulforaphane and polyphenols for cellular detox and repair.
Okay, and the next 2 points are about system activation and maintenance.
3. Activate autophagy and T-cell regeneration. You do this through periodic fasting, consistent movement, and just generally maintaining controlled calorie intake. 4. Support cellular performance and signaling.
Which means ruthlessly managing chronic stress and prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of deep sleep.
Every night.
Every single night.
And the final point brings it all back to the foundation, the gut.
Yes. 5. Maintain a healthy, diverse gut microbiome. This makes sure the immune system gets correct, calm signals, and isn't diverted by internal disorder. And what's critical for you to understand is that this isn't some niche alternative health advice.
Yeah, at all. This is precisely the direction cutting-edge science is moving, leveraging, not overriding, the body's innate defense mechanisms.
We are truly moving into an era where the immune system is the primary weapon against all major chronic diseases, including cancer. The whole goal of treatment is shifting.
From weakening the body to strengthening it.
And this blueprint is the roadmap for that future.
The paradigm shift is complete. We have to move from the short-sighted goal of destroying a tumor to the long-term systemic imperative of repairing the body's security system that failed in the first place.
And as terrifying as cancer has always been, what these sources suggest is something profoundly empowering. That the human body may already hold the cure, or at least the strongest defense. Our mission is simply to learn how to empower it. So here's a thought for you to explore this week. If aging is the biggest immune disruptor, what one preventative measure, whether it's intermittent fasting, cold exposure, or just finally getting serious about vitamin D, will you implement this week to keep your internal defenses young?